Home. For many of us here, there's nothing that evokes a more reassuring sense of happiness, joy, comfort, stability, and security than going home. For us, home is a place of unconditional love and support. We see our home as a place where we have more freedom, more comfort, and at least for a few hours, we are away from the hustle bustle and the harsh realities of the outside world. But for a victim of domestic violence, the home is anything but a home. Battered, broken, bruised, these are all obvious signs of domestic violence. But the psychological and financial damage that comes with it, that can be more devastating. And so we wonder, why do victims continue to remain stuck in an abusive relationship? I've been a victim of domestic violence for more than 15 years, and I have personally experienced the physical, the psychological, the emotional, and the financial damage that accompanies it. I have been able to find healing and reconstruct my life. I'm happy and content, but I often wondered, why did I continue to remain stuck in this abusive relationship and for so long? I searched for answers everywhere, books, podcasts, videos, everything that spoke around marriage, relationship, childhood, parenting, childhood abuse too. I even asked coaches and counselors, and guess what? I found my answers in a few pages on a book on behavioral finance. I am Dr. Anubini, and today I am going to share with you the 5 words that brought me back to life and the 3 factors why I believe I continue to remain stuck in the abusive relationship. Come, let's begin. Factor 1. The Endowment Effect. Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winning economist, Jack Netch, Richard Thaler, the highly respected economist, proved the endowment effect in action. Endowment effect is a classical contradiction of the idea that human beings always behave rationally. In fact, it proved the surprising thing that we refuse or are unwilling to trade off something that we own in exchange of something of the same or maybe greater value. Let me explain. If you look at the portfolio of a typical investor, there are some winning stocks and there are some losing stocks. When the market goes high, a typical investor will sell off his winning stocks and earn profits while retaining the losing stocks. Rationally speaking, he should be selling off the losing stocks. But he not only continues to hold them, but also justifies it. What's endowment effect have to do with relationships? It's a different side of relationships. Let's look at the case of John and let's listen to what his wife has to say about him. John, my husband, is abusive, drinks a lot, but I believe he can be a great father. He really loved and cared a lot for me during our dating days. I'm just not able to give up on him. The problem with this kind of thinking is that the victims justify the act of domestic violence. They say that he hits me because he's stressed at work, or maybe because his business is not doing well, or maybe because he has been a victim of childhood abuse. The list goes on. Maybe you're right and you must give him a chance to change. But can you continue this way for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, justifying the act of domestic violence, hoping that one day he will stop hitting you, while you're the only one who's working hard to make it work? Pause and think, is it a rational decision? And it's not about stocks, it's about your life. Because he is your husband, the presence of endowment effect masks the reality of your relationship. You fail to see his faults. The second factor, sunk cost fallacy. As I flash the scenarios in front of you, I want you to choose an option. Scenario A. You have complimentary tickets to attend the Oscar Awards, but there is a severe storm and traffic is horrible. You have to travel 30 miles to reach the venue. Would you go? Choose yes or no. Scenario B. You have spent or paid $5,000 for the Oscar Awards, but there is a severe storm and traffic is horrible. Would you go? Yes or no? Most of the people would choose to go for the show if they had paid for the ticket and would avoid it if it was complimentary. But this kind of distinction makes no sense because the cost of the ticket has already been paid. Sunk cost refers to the classical economic idea and it talks about the cost that cannot be recovered. While sunk cost fallacy refers to the tendency of human beings to pursue an inferior alternative merely based on the fact that they have invested a lot in it, leading to more investments and no returns whatsoever. So what's sunk cost fallacy got to do with relationships? A few more seasons of beatings have gone by. Let's find out what his wife has to say about John. My husband is abusive, drinks a lot, but I believe he's a great father. Also, he really loved and cared a lot for me during the dating days. I'm just not able to give up on him. He's behaving so because his business is not picking up. Let me pick up this part-time job to earn some extra money to help him with his business. Once the business flourishes, he will become good. The problem with this kind of thinking is that victims waste more time, more money, more life trying to correct a past mistake. They readily give up their jobs or work harder, take up more part-time jobs even during weekends at the cost of neglecting their children with the only hope trying to support a bad relationship and make it look good. Just because you have invested 5 years or 10 years in the relationship, is it wise to invest 5 more years in the relationship hoping for a different result again while you are the only one who is trying to make things work? So, when we have invested resources, time, energy, life but have not received the expected results, we double our efforts, try harder, invest more, falling prey to the sunk cost fallacy. We stay back when we should have left long ago. The third factor, decision paralysis. Human beings have a natural tendency to resist change. We keep running away from making decisions and gravitate towards maintaining the status quo. Let's go back to the same investor. When his losing stock fell down by 5%, he could have taken a decision to sell it off, but he didn't. Now the market is down by 10%. He can still take a decision, but he doesn't. And then it falls down to 15, 20, and then it drops down to 95% of its value. And he's just frozen with fear. Fear overpowers his logic, experience, and wisdom. He's just not able to make any decision and doesn't know what to do. That's decision paralysis. When it comes to relationships, it can get worse. With the passing years, the victims trade off their future, their health, their profession, their aspiration, and even their passion without realizing that they are literally giving up the freedom to live a respectable, dignified, and happy life. When we fall prey to decision paralysis, we believe that we are not making a choice, but unknowingly we are continuing to remain stuck in the toxic relationship. Victims avoid making decisions, not realizing that they are choosing to continue with the abusive relationships. What is the right time to leave a relationship, you may ask? Is it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or should you decide to end it right now? I cannot say that. But yes, I can share my story. I gave it 18 years. I can never forget that day when he stormed in and hit me again in front of my children while the elders of the household looked on. I was devastated. I decided that I'll have to meet a lawyer this time. We met and she asked me the details of my story and my finances. She shook her head with a nod that spelled despair. "How did you come this far?" she asked me. "You have no savings, no support, no asset in your name, children ready for college, and no education funds. You are in your early 40s. If you choose to leave the house right now, where will you go?" I had no answer. "It is better that you stay with him and comply to him," she said. "But I don't feel safe anymore," I protested. "Then why did you wait for so long?" she almost shouted. I was numb. I had no answers. I looked at the long hours of studies since I was a child to earn a coveted engineering degree that would secure my future. I recollected the long hours at work for more than 20 years, working hard in the corporate world. And what did I have to show for it? I had zero life, zero self-worth, and zero bank balance. I just wanted to die that day. My friend who was waiting for me downstairs was shocked as I narrated everything that had happened. "It's over," I said. "I just hope to die soon." We traveled back home. My friend stopped the cab midway. We stepped out. All I could see was, stretching into the distance, an artificial lake filled with toxic chemicals from the chemical factories surrounding it. The smell of the chemical and the sight of the rubbles floating on it invaded my senses. It was like hell on earth. My friend, pointing to the fluid debris, said, "If you look at it, you may wonder, can anything stay alive here? Maybe today when you look at your life, you feel that it is dirty, stagnant, and filled with toxic chemicals. But look closely. Can you see those lotus flowers blooming? God has wrapped life into the seed of the lotus flower, and it can bloom even here. Anu, it's not over." And then whispered the 5 magical words that brought me back to life. "You still have your life." I just caught it like this. It was a complete paradigm shift for me. My confidence came back. I was charged up. In the equation of life where there were so many variables and me, so small, almost negative, not existent, changed. And the me became an exponential multiplier. I could finally break the endowment effect, understand that it was a sunk cost, and escape from the decision paralysis. Was it easy? No, it wasn't. This is a picture that my daughter clicked one day before I left the house in 2015. I have struggled. I have spent endless nights crying alone. I have faced rejection, being the topic of slandering gossips, labeled selfish, abandoned by almost all the people that I have known and grown up with. I have faced social boycott. It wasn't easy. I struggled financially to make ends meet because it was a fresh life for me with no savings and no money. I lived from paycheck to paycheck, even lost jobs in between. I was overwhelmed. There were moments when I didn't know what to do. And above all, the feeling of being cheated and betrayed, oh, that was so real. I have fought to sabotage the negative self-belief, the negative words that continuously bombarded me. But I was up every day to fight the good fight. Why? Because I still had my life. Was I alone? Not really. I found love, support, affirmation from perfect strangers. They help me by choosing to love me, believe me, listen to me, and help me heal. So can each one of you by making the simple decision not to normalize domestic violence and to be kind. Let me show you a glimpse of this entire paradigm shift. Isn't that a change? And if you are a victim of domestic violence, I implore you, choose to change your paradigm. Press the restart button. Remember the 5 words that form the premises of your truth. Today and always, you still have your life. Keep shining, keep glowing.